Hi, everybody. Wanted to go through and do a chapter 2 example with you. So I'll have you read through chapter 2. Now, chapter 2 is hopefully it won't be too bad. It'll be pretty easy. Let me get my screen up here. I do want to show you something. The book is written for any language possible. So it's meant, if somebody wants to teach it using Python or C++ or Java, they can do so. So it's written in a generic language. I did put up on in Blackboard, it's right here, a Python supplement. If you click on that, there's a PDF. This came with the book. This gives us all of the examples that are in the textbook, and it shows them in a Python language. So I'll just open mine real quick and show you. Let's see if I can break this out here. Go to like page 23. So here you can see that went a little too far into chapter. So here's chapter 2 stuff. In chapter 2 stuff, it shows like right here, program 2-8. If you were to look at 2-8 in our textbook, it's going to be in a generic language. It's going to use words like display and input, or not input, but I forget what they call it. But it won't look like this. Here, it's going to show you exactly what it would be like in Python. Okay, so when you're reading the book, have that supplement with you, or have that available so that you can also look at there and see how it is in Python. It'll be very helpful. Okay, so I want to show you a example program. So this is from our textbook. I want to do number 7. It's called miles per gallon. So number 7, it says a car's miles per gallon, or MPG, can be calculated with the following formula. MPG equals miles driven divided by gallons of gas used. Design a program that asks the user for the number of miles driven and gas used. It should calculate the miles per gallon and display the result on the screen. So that gives me everything I need to do to get going on this program. I'm going to open up Thani, close out my previous example we were working with, and we'll make a new one. So this one is chapter number 2. This is problem number 7, and I'll put my name on here. And we're ready to go. Now, when you're doing these programs, you might think like, oh my God, this is a lot of stuff. How do I do all of this? Don't worry or get too out there. Just break it down into smaller pieces. There's going to be 3 steps to these programs. The first step is going to be to get input. Second step is going to be to do some calculation. Third step is going to be to display the output. Okay, so the programs are just that simple. So my first step, get the input. If I look back at that program, what inputs do I need for this thing? Well, it's nice enough to kind of tell us. It says ask the user for miles driven, gallons of gas. But if I were going to ask you this and this wasn't down there, you'd have to say like, well, how can I do this calculation? I need miles driven and I need gallons of gas used. So I need to read these 2 things in from the user. So I need 2 inputs on this program. Some programs you might need just 1 input. Some you might need 3. You can have any number of needed variables. So let's start with how many miles they've driven. You want to have your variable names be meaningful. You don't want to have it be X or Y. Okay, that's just bad programming. You want to give them meaningful names. So my meaningful name on this one is miles driven equals. And now we got to think about what type of data is miles driven. Is that going to be text or is it going to be a number? And usually you can think, am I going to do math to it? If you're going to do math to it, then you're going to have to set it as a number. So there were 2 types of numbers. We saw in the previous example, there was integers. I'm going to show you the other type. It's called float. Float is for something that you're expecting I might have decimal places too. So I'm going to say float input, and then this will be the prompt that the user gets. And I'm doing it in those two steps. Do the inner parentheses, input, that'll get the miles driven, throw that into float, convert it over to a float, and then store that into my miles driven variable. My next one is going to be gallons used. Now, gallons used, if you go to the gas pump and you pump it, you know that thing will always be in decimal places. It'll be like up to 3 decimal places. So that too is going to be a float. Okay, so there we go. So there's my 2 inputs. So once I got those 2 inputs, I can now go ahead and do this part of the program, which is to calculate miles per gallon. Let's just take miles driven divided by gallons of gas used. Let's say MPG equals miles driven divided by gallons used. And be careful because the case is important. If I put this as a lowercase u, that is something completely different. The cases have to match up exactly. All right, so the program would run at this point. There's no output just yet, so I'm going to throw an output in before we save it and run it. So I'm going to print, I'm going to say so like that. Let's keep it real simple. I'll say the MPG is, and MPG I think is pretty well known. I don't think you have to spell that out, but if you wanted to, you could say the miles per gallon is. But if I run it right now, it's going to want me to save it. So I'm going to save this also off to my desktop. And I'll call this chapter 2. And now it starts running, and you can see that down here at the bottom. So if I start putting in something like if I say I drove 354 miles, 0.2, and the number of gallons of gas I used was 14.3, just make up some numbers, and I hit enter, you see my miles per gallon is calculated. But check out how many decimal places I'm getting. I'm getting like over 10 decimal places. So that's one thing that we're going to want to clean up when you're working on these chapter 2 problems, especially ones that are talking about money. You're going to want to format that to a certain decimal place. So you're going to want to show 2 decimal places on those. So let's take this one and let's format it. And the way to format it is when you're doing the print. So right here, I want to put a format around NPG. See that? Format NPG, comma, and in here I got single quotes because it's a string. And this looks kind of nasty, but it's a 0.1f. And that means give me 1 decimal place, and it's a floating point. That's what the F is for, float. So 0.1, if you want 2 decimal places, you would just change that to a 2. Okay, so you'll see if I run it with 2 in there, miles driven, if I put those same numbers in, 354.2, 14.3, you see I get 24.77 mpg. Okay, so that's how you're going to do your formatting. If you turn in a program and it's money, always format it to 2 decimal places. Okay, if I get them back and it's got multiple decimal places, that's easy mistake to make. You don't want to lose points on that. Okay, so make sure you are formatting your floating point numbers. All right. Now, how do we go about saving our output to the program? I showed this last time. I'll do it again. I'm going to select everything that I want to save into my program, copy it. You can right click, you can Control C, and then inside here, we can paste it. Okay, but remember, the trick is you've got to comment this out. So to comment this out, I select it all. I go up here to edit, and I say comment out. And now we're in business. You got a program that you can turn into me, and you got output that I'm going to be looking for. I'll see this. I'll say, okay, it runs. It ran correctly. Right? I'll be happy. You'll be happy. And we'll get a good grade on that one. Okay. I do want to show you how to turn in a program. So I'm going to show you on my desktop. Here's the two programs that we did in this chapter. We did an intro program and we did a chapter 2 program. So I'm going to want you to turn your programs in zip files, please. Zip files you can do on a Mac, you can do them on a PC. They're very simple. You just select the programs that you want zipped up. You right click on it. Whoop. Let me do it again. You right click on it. Down here it says send to, and then you do this one, compress the zipped folder. Okay, real easy. Right click, send to, compress zip folder. And you see it made over here chapter 2 zip for me. If I double click and open it, this thing's going to have the two programs that you wrote for me. So when it comes time to turn it in, you're going to turn in this one file to me. And where do you do that? You're going to look under you're going to look under course content under chapter 2, and in there there'll be a link for this assignment. And you just attach it like you attach an email. Alrighty. So that's what I wanted to get through with you today. So good luck on that. Shoot me an email if you got questions, and good luck.